Lecture 2 on Economics, Introduction to Microeconomics Theory. So today we will discuss about economics as a science of choice. So we have discussed above that resources are limited and human ones are unlimited, and because of that many problem arises in the economy, and we have discussed various problems that arise due to limited supply or limitation of the resources and multiple ones of individual. So today we will discuss the topic economics as a science of choice. See, it follows from the above discussion, as we have mentioned, that economics is a science of choice. So what does it do? It deals with how the resources of a society are allocated to satisfy or allocated for the satisfaction of different human wants. So since limited resources is there, we have to allocate these resources to the society so that maximum satisfaction is derived. Maximum satisfaction of different wants of the people are achieved. So we have seen that wants are unlimited but resources are scarce. So the problem of choice arises here. And we have to conclude that scarcity and choices always goes together. See, let's take a situation where resources are found in abundance. If resources are found in abundance, then we will not have the problem, or there will be no question of choice. If resources are found in abundance, we will not have the question of choice, because we make choice just because that the resources are limited in supply, and we have to make choice what wants to satisfy or to which area the resources should be allocated so that maximum satisfaction of human wants are achieved. So what is needed to satisfy human wants? To satisfy human wants, production of goods and services has to take place. What is needed to produce goods and services? Resources is needed. But resources to produce them are, as I have mentioned, limited in supply. So, we have to make choices so that maximum possible satisfaction of wants is achieved. So here comes the economic problem. What does economic problem says? Economic problem is the use and allocation of scarce resources for the production of goods and services in a way that maximizes the satisfaction of human wants. This is also referred to as the problem of economizing resources. So economic problem basically means that the use and allocation of scarce resources for the production of goods and services, as I mentioned, in what way? In a manner, in a method, in a way that maximize the satisfaction of human wants. Produce goods and services to satisfy human wants. So that is all about the economic problem. So we study economics in this context as how best to use scarce resources so that maximum possible satisfaction of unlimited wants are achieved. Economics is all about how to best use of resources, the available limited resources, so that we can derive the maximum possible satisfaction of our unlimited wants or unlimited desires. So we can give a simple diagram for this economic problem. So we have talked about the unlimited wants for goods and services by the people, but scarce resources are there to produce these goods and services. So ultimately we have to make a choice. Choice of what? Choice of allocation of resources among these various goods and services so that we can achieve the maximum possible satisfaction of our desires and wants. Alright, moving on to the next topic, we shall distinguish between microeconomics and macroeconomics as a subject. So this unit, it is dedicated for the introduction to the subject economics. So economic is basically divided into two main parts, that is microeconomics and macroeconomics. So microeconomics, micro means we all understand that it is small. Micro means small. So what does this microeconomics definition gives us? So microeconomics is the study of behavior of small individual parts such as consumers, firms, and workers. So it study the behavior of this. Behavior of whom? Small individual part such as the consumer behavior, the firm's behavior, the workers' behavior. So it studies how the interaction of decision making by individual units in the market will determine the allocation of these scarce resources for production of various goods and services. So individual consumer or individual firms will try to allocate their given resources to make themselves well off, or to make themselves to make profit for themselves, to make well off as much as possible. So they will try to make a decision in producing goods and services which will make them well off as much as possible. And then the consumer will choose the goods and services that maximize their satisfaction. And then what will the firm do? The firms will also decide which goods and services and how much to produce in order to maximize their profit. So they have to decide upon this matter. So these are the areas in which microeconomics is going to study about. It is the behavior. It is studying the behavior of the small individual part, the consumer behavior, the firm's behavior, the workers. But on the other hand, we are talking about macroeconomics. Macro, it is derived from the Greek word macros, which means large. So macroeconomics will study the working of the economy as a whole. It will study the working of the economy as a whole, not separately or not individually. It will only talk about the aggregate or the economy as a whole. So macroeconomics studies how aggregate of the entire community or entire economy, such as national income, that is GDP, level of employment, and what will determine the price level, or it will analyze the problem of inflation, level of unemployment, and what are the factors that determine the economic growth. So these are counted in aggregate with the entire economy, not separate, not as a separate entity, but these are all aggregates. So macro means it study the economy as a whole or in aggregate, not separately. And we will see as we go ahead what are the major problems or what are the issues in microeconomics that we have to discuss. So we shall see what are some of the issues which we have to discuss in microeconomics. After that, we will go to macroeconomics. First, we shall see in microeconomics. The first important issue that we have to discuss is that we analyze in microeconomics is how individual consumers maximize their satisfaction. How individual consumer maximize their satisfaction by consuming different types of goods and services. We will study how individual maximize this or their satisfaction by consuming different types of goods and services. Second issue is how do firms, we will talk about the firms, decide about the techniques or the different methods to be used for production of goods. For what? To minimize the level of cost in producing that particular or given level of output. They will try to decide, they will choose the very method or the technique which will minimize the cost of production while producing a certain level of output. So again, the third issue is the firm will have to choose the production level or the level of production which will fetch them the maximum profit. At this point of level, the maximum profit, they have to find the level of production or level of output which will fetch them, which will give them the maximum profit. So they have to maintain that level. And then fourth, we have the issue of the determination of price. Determination of price by the factor of market, that is demand and supply for the goods and services in different forms of market. Price determination by demand and supply in the different types of markets, such as perfect competition, we have monopoly, we have monopolistic competition. So we have to study the price determination of demand and supply in different forms of this market. And in the fifth, we have the issue of how our prices of factors are determined. Factors of production, such as land, labor, capital. For land, we pay wages, and for labor we pay wages, for land we pay rent, and for capital we pay interest, and for entrepreneur we pay, they get profit. So what are these different price of factors are determined? On what basis they have to be determined? We have discussed in microeconomics. And then lastly, we have to ultimately see if this production of goods and consumption of goods leads to economic growth or economic efficiency. At the end of the day, we have to see if these economic activities or production, consumption, distribution leads to economic growth or not. So in microeconomics, we will study in free market economic condition whether it is leading to economic efficiency or not. Okay, in macroeconomics, we study the following subjects. What are the subjects that we have to analyze? We have to study under macroeconomics. First, we have in macroeconomics that how are levels of national income and employment in the economy are determined, and what causes involuntary unemployment. So involuntary unemployment means that it simply refers to a person, an individual who is capable of working in a particular job at the prevailing wage rate is not able to get employment. So that situation is called involuntary unemployment. One individual person is willing to work at a particular wage rate for that particular job, and he has the ability to work but did not get employed. That is called involuntary unemployment. And so macroeconomics will study the levels of national income and employment, how this level of national income and employment are determined, what are the determining factors. Secondly, we have how is the general level of price. So it is talking about a general level of price, not particular price level of it is not talking about a particular commodity or particular goods, but it is the price level in general. So what are or how is the general level of price in the economy determined? So in this context, we explains what causes inflation in the economy. Inflation would mean continuous rise in the general price level. So what are the factors that causes inflation? Third, we have why this business cycle arrives. So what does this business cycle mean? So business cycle means the various fluctuations in the level of national income and then employment and general price level, and this will causes recession or depression in the economy. So this all comes under macroeconomics. Why do business cycle occurs? So business cycle is all about the fluctuations in the level of national income, employment, and general price level, which in turn give rise to recession or depression. The various ups and downs in the business fluctuations is called business cycle. So what are the factors who are causing business cycle to fluctuate? Fourth, we have what are the factors that determine the economic growth? So what are the factors which will determine the growth of a particular economy? That will also be studied in macroeconomics. So when we talk about economic growth, it is the sustained increase in real total national income and per capita income over time. So when we talk about economic growth, it is a sustained, constant increase in what? In total national income, GDP, per capita income over a period of time. Over a period of time. It is considered over a period of time, within a certain period of time. So national income or economic growth is calculated in that way. Fifth subject that is under macroeconomics is how does total money supply can be expanded or it is controlled by the central bank of a country. So how money supply is regulated by Central Bank of India or Central Bank of a country is studied under macroeconomics. Lastly, we have the balance of payment. In macroeconomics, we study the balance of payment of a country with the rest of the world. So in connection to this, we study the determination of foreign exchange rate, which has an important effect on the balance of payment. So under this balance of payment, we will study about foreign exchange, which has a very important effect on the balance of payment. Whether balance of payment of India with the rest of the world is running deficit or are we in surplus, that is determined by the amount of foreign exchange that we have. So that subject is also studied under macroeconomics. So the last topic is microeconomics and economic efficiency. As I have mentioned, all these economic activities, production, consumption, distribution, we have to ultimately see, does it lead to economic efficiency? And the important problem which is discussed in microeconomics requires special mention is the problem of economic efficiency. So there are three types of economic efficiency. One is productive efficiency, second is distributive efficiency, and third one is allocative efficiency. So in productive efficiency, we will study we'll study about how much we have to produce, or rather we can say it involves producing the maximum possible output of goods from the given available resources. So how to produce at a maximum level of output with the available resources. So productive efficiency involves producing the maximum level of output with the available resources. So that is all about productive efficiency. And second, distributive efficiency. It talks about distribution of various goods and service to the consumer or individual so that maximum total satisfaction is derived we distribute goods and services to the consumer or individual so that maximum total satisfaction is achieved. Lastly, we have allocative efficiency. So, allocative efficiency involves production or producing goods and services which people prefer. We will try to produce, or the firm will try to produce various goods and services which people prefer. So, once we are in tune with this different economic efficiency, then we can see the growth in economy. But again, the question of economic efficiency is a subject matter of welfare economics, which is an important branch of microeconomics. You will study another subject, welfare economics. So welfare is all about producing, distribution, allocation of resources, goods and services so that people wants, desires are achieved with the limited available resources. So with this topic, we come to the end of chapter 1. Thank you.